Tory, yesterday you said on the Ward 44 replacement, you said in the statement that you think the person who represents the ward should live in it. When you were at Queen's Park, did you always live in the riding you represented?
No, I didn't. And so in that sense, and I know that if you looked at the City Council today, there are a number of people who do a perfectly good job of representing their constituents and don't happen to live in their wards. And that would be true of MPPs and MPs. I simply said it was a preferred situation. In my own case, I think most people would understand that I had to find a seat in the legislature and that one became vacant that was held by a member of my own party, in fact, the former leader of my party, and that was the first by-election that presented itself. And so I went and ran there. It was actually, in a way, inconvenient for everybody involved that I did live somewhere different, but I think the people who were there will tell you that I did a very good job. In fact, I saw two of them at a funeral this week, and they talked about how much time I spent up there and got to know the people and got to know the issues. I simply said it was a preferred state of affairs, and I think it is. Having said all that, there's a process that will unfold next week with respect to the council, not me, choosing a new member of the council to serve out the balance of the term, and I'm sure that will be one of many different considerations that people take into account when they make their choice.
But are you worried that David Soknacki would run against you in 2018? Because some of your officials seem to be.
I'm not actually worried about anything to do with 2018 at all. I'm worried about one thing and one thing only, which is making sure that the council selects the very best person to carry out the job of being the councillor for that ward on the City Council in the next year, and that we have 48 people, I think, who have put their names in for that. I've read through the letters and resumes, very thoughtful contributions that people made with respect to why they would like to be that councillor, and I will, like everybody else, make a choice next week after we hear those people out. But I'm not actually worried about anything to do with the election. I am not focused. You know what? There's a lot of people who are focused, including lots of things that are written in newspapers and said on radio and television about the election next year. I'm focused on being the mayor of Toronto, whether it's expanding the bike share program, meeting with the fire chief to discuss fire safety, addressing issues to do with flooding. That's how I'm spending my time. I think most of you know that. My schedule is there for you all to see. And what's going on with respect to an election that's still very far away is not very much on my mind.
Should the next representative support the Scarborough subway?
Well, look, I'm obviously in the business every single day that I'm around here of trying to make sure I go and attract and earn as much support for the policies that I believe in as possible. I mean, it would be irresponsible for me not to do that. And so I will continue to be out there on the policies that I believe in that are best for the city going forward in terms of its long-term interests in housing and in transit and in attracting proper support from the provincial government for our efforts to be seeking out support wherever I can get it. But with respect to, again, the choice of a councillor, that is very much first and foremost about serving the interests of the residents of Ward 44, making sure they have good, knowledgeable representation for the next 14 months or whatever it is, and the choice will be made by the city councillors, all 44 of us, next week when we meet, and I'm looking forward to that meeting. I'm not endorsing anybody. I will ultimately make a choice like everybody else does, and I expect that I've said I would in due course indicate who I'll vote for, and that may be when I cast my ballot. But at the end of the day, I have a set of criteria that I'm obviously looking at, and very big on my list is somebody who can carry on with the work that Councillor Moser had begun. He had some very specific projects he spoke to me often about, and I talked to him extensively during his illness and when he was in the hospital, and he was very concerned about Port Union Road and what we did with that, about the Scarborough Lakefront, about the Highland Creek treatment plant, about the Rouge Park. And so I'll be looking for people who can carry on with that work, because in the end what we're electing here is not we're electing somebody who will help make decisions citywide, but we're also electing somebody who very particularly will have the important responsibility of representing the interests of the people of Ward 44 and the issues that matter most to them. And so I'll be looking for somebody who understands those issues, who understands and has the confidence of that community, and who wants to carry on with the work that Councillor Moser was very engaged in doing. So I'll make my choice in due course, but in the end, this is like everything around here. There are no parties here. I mean, this is where people make their own minds up about what they want to do. Heavens above, I'll tell you, I'd be able to devote a lot more of my time to being out in the community, seeing housing or worrying about different issues that we have to address if there was some kind of guaranteed number of votes that I could count on to support my point of view and everything. It doesn't work that way. And so people will cast their votes next week, and there'll be a selection made, and that is no offense to the other 47 people who won't get the nod. It's just a reality that we have a choice to make, and it will be made by 44 people, including me.
John Tory, it sounds as though, if I can parse that statement, it sounds as though you're describing a part in that description. Somebody who can carry on through the belief of the military work. Mr. Hart worked with the late Councillor Moser for about a year on Mr. Soknacki. Are we kind of thinking?
No matter what I said, you would parse it in some way or other. And I guess, and that's not unfair to you, I'm just saying no matter what I said, there'd be some interpretation people could take of my answer. I will tell you, I've actually read, and I don't know how many councillors have taken the opportunity as yet, I hope they all will, I've actually read through all 40, I think it's 48 of the letters and resumes and submissions that people made. And there's a lot of very thoughtful commentary in there about Ward 44 and about the city and about Scarborough. And, you know, so I'm just saying to you that you can take what you want, but I don't think there'd be too many people that would disagree with my description, which is you want to find somebody first and foremost who can serve the residents of Ward 44 for the next 12 or so months. And that involves dealing with the issues they had on their minds, which is really what Councillor Moser was attending himself to, as you would expect he would. And so there's nothing to be read into my remarks other than that I have actually read all 48 of the submissions. I know very few of the people actually personally that are applying. I think highly of the ones that I know without exception. But I would just say that like everybody else, I'll have a choice to make next week and I'll make it. And so will 43 other people, and we'll see how the results come down.